When Queen Elizabeth passed away on 8 September 2022, the whole world was mourning. Not only in the UK, but even people living in the most remote places knew her. This popularity came from being the longest serving queen, over 70 years, and being the most charismatic of the British royalty. After which her son Charles, King Charles III, became the king of the United Kingdom and is the oldest and longest serving heir apparent in British history. He was the Prince of Wales for 64 years. He officially became king the moment his mother died, when his formal coronation ceremony took place on May 6, 2023 at Westminster Abbey. We have seen the prominence of the British family while participating in elaborate ceremonies such as these. But on the other side, we also knew that the UK is a democratic nation. Then you might be wondering how a country balances both monarchy and democracy. But the truth is very different. The United Kingdom is a constitutional democracy where real political power lies with an elected parliament and a prime minister chosen through public elections. The monarch does not make laws, control the army, or run the government. Today, the royal family exists mainly as a ceremonial figurehead representing history, continuity, and national identity rather than political authority. This is clearly stated in the UK's constitutional framework and explained by the UK Parliament itself. So, this raises an important question. If the monarch has no real governing power today, why does this family still matter? Why has this institution survived for over 1,000 years with lots of love and support from the people when most monarchies in the world have gained strengths like North Korea's dictatorship or the King of Saudi Arabia, who holds supreme authority over the executive, legislative, and judicial branches? To understand this, we must go back in time when kings ruled by force, not consent. Long before the United Kingdom existed, England was not one unified country. Instead, it was a group of small kingdoms. Each had its own local ruler, a king, a noble, or a warlord, and alliances shifted constantly. Loyalty was personal and local, not national. If a ruler died, there was no clear rule for naming a successor, and opponents would often fight over the power. There was no system that guaranteed stability or peaceful transfer of authority. At the time, powerful neighbors like Vikings from Scandinavia were also a serious threat, repeatedly raiding and crossing boundaries of coastal towns. This uncertainty meant that leadership could change violently, not through orderly inheritance but through force, negotiation, or sudden uprising. In the world of shifting power, the idea of a single monarch of all England did not exist consistently until later. Everything changed in 1066 after King Edward of England died without a clear heir. It created a power vacuum. Several noblemen claimed the throne, but the most powerful challenge came from William, Duke of Normandy, a French noble who said Edward was promised him the crown. When the English nobles chose Harold Godwinson instead, William did not accept their decision. He gathered an army, crossed the English Channel, and defeated Harold's forces at the Battle of Hastings. William then marched on London and seized the English throne by force. He became King William I, known today as William the Conqueror. This moment marked the birth of a new kind of monarchy. William recognized land ownership so that loyalty to the king, not to local lords, became a central political principle. He introduced military style control and centralized authority in a way that had never existed in England before. After William, the idea that the crown could pass through family lines began to take hold, and over time, this idea evolved into a complex system of hereditary succession. For centuries, the crown passed roughly from parent to child. When James II tried to rule with absolute power again, Parliament kicked him out in 1688. One of the earliest major legal milestones came with the Bill of Rights in 1689 after King James II fled England. Parliament declared the throne vacant and offered it to his daughter Mary and her husband William of Orange. This was called the Glorious Revolution because it happened mostly without a war. After they brought in new rulers, William and Mary, it created a constitutional monarchy. This meant the king or queen would now have to share power in parliament. Queen Victoria took the throne in 1837 and ruled for over 60 years. During her time, Britain became an industrial powerhouse and the largest empire in history, ruling a quarter of the world. While this brought progress like trains and telegrams, it also involved taking wealth and power away from other countries like India and nations in Africa. But it was Parliament that gradually began to set the rules for who could succeed. This was not just a handover of power, it was Parliament making it clear that it had the right to control who succeeds the monarch and to limit the monarch's power. According to this law, it established that succession could be regulated by Parliament. It limited what a monarch could do without the Parliament, which eventually set an early foundation for modern constitutional governance. It also included who could become monarch in the future. Specifically, it stated that Roman Catholics were excluded from the succession. Parliament was very concerned about religion and political stability, and this law helped shape those rules. Just over a decade later, in 1701, Parliament passed the Act of Settlement, which was built directly on the Bill of Rights and significantly shaped the monarchy for the next 300 years. The Act's main purpose was to guarantee a Protestant succession, meaning that only those who were Protestant Christians and in communion with the Church of England could succeed to the throne. This was written into law because the monarchy was also the head of the Church of the England, and Parliament wanted to make sure rulers shared that religious commitment. The Act of Settlement did three major things. It confirmed that Parliament, not the monarch, could determine succession. It limited succession to Protestant heirs of Princess Sophia or Hanover, which is a distant relative of the England royal family. It ruled that Roman Catholics or people who married Roman Catholics could not inherit the crown. This law was revolutionary because it linked who could become monarch not only to family lineage but also to religion and parliament's power. It firmly established the monarch as Protestant. A Roman Catholic can be in the royal family and can even marry into it, but cannot become monarch themselves because the sovereign has historic duties connected to that religious office. Later, when the Acts of Union joined England and Scotland into Great Britain, these succession laws were extended across both kingdoms. In the early 21st century, changes were made to make the system more equal and modern. So in 2013, the Succession to the Crown Act was passed, amending both the Bill of Rights and the Act of Settlement. The most important reforms included ending male preference succession rules for royals born after 28 October 2011 means the eldest child becomes first in line to the throne no matter their gender ahead of any younger siblings. For example, this is why Princess Charlotte ranks above her younger brother Prince Louis, not because she's female, but because she is older. Removing the rule that someone would lose their place in line of succession if they married a Roman Catholic. Under the older legal framework, a royal could be disqualified simply for marrying a Catholic, but this is no longer the cause. The 2013 Act also modernized marriage consent rules. Today, only the first six people in line to the throne need the monarch's permission to marry in order to remain in the line of succession. If they do not get that consent, the marriage itself is still legally valid, but their children from that marriage cannot inherit the throne. These changes took effect across all Commonwealth realms in March 2015. So the rules are now consistent in countries like UK, Canada, Australia, and others that shares the same sovereign. Together, these laws show how the Britain monarchy has moved from a system based largely on inheritance and religion to one that incorporates equality and modern standards while still preserving its historic Protestant identity. The current royal family, named the House of Windsor, took its name in 1917 when King George V changed the family name to Windsor during World War I to sound more British in the time of intense patriotism. Since then, monarchs have ruled without real political power, serving instead as neutral national symbols who carry out public duties, support charities, and represent Britain internationally. Now, King Charles III heads the Britain throne shaped by conquest, compromise, and survival. The monarchy today holds no real political power, but the British royal family still exists because it offers something modern government cannot, which is continuity. While elected leaders change, the monarchy remains a steady symbol that links the present nation to its past. It represents tradition, identity, and shared history rather than political authority. The family also plays a ceremonial and diplomatic role, bringing visibility and unity during national moments. Its strength lies in tradition, symbolism, and public acceptance. The continuity or end of this monarchy will depend not on law but on relevance. The crown has survived because it learned when to let go of power, and that may be its greatest lesson.